All right, what's up, YouTube? This is Big Mike. I want to do a video. It's kind of inspired by comments that Draymond Green made earlier this week, talking about how he didn't enjoy watching the Cleveland Cavaliers play. He thought they were boring. He thought that in the Western Conference the games were more entertaining to watch. While it is in the Eastern Conference when Cleveland's playing good, but then the other teams are just clearly not in the same league as the Cleveland Cavaliers at all. And this is my thing about what Draymond Green is saying. In essence, I agree with what he's saying, although there's a lack of parity in both the West and the East. At least in the Western Conference, the games have been a little bit more competitive and watchable. But this is my point. I've made this point before in videos, and people like poo-poo what I'm saying. Listen to me here, all right? This is my nephew, by the way. Remember back in the 1990s, right? The Eastern Conference was a lot more competitive, and there was a lot more star power in the East, especially in the mid-1990s, right? But then, this is what happened. You started seeing the aging of players like Patrick Ewing, right? Guys like him started getting older. Okay, Dominique Wilkins, guys like that started falling off, going away the league. Then Michael Jordan retired, okay? Even before Jordan retired, you had Shaq go from Orlando Magic to the Los Angeles Lakers, a Western Conference team. All right, you had the emergence of a Dirk Nowitzki. You had the emergence of a Kevin Garnett. All right, you had a player like Chris Webber, who in the late 90s was with the Washington Bullets. Looked like he was going to be on a team that could be a team in the future. He gets traded to the Sacramento Kings, a Western Conference team. You started seeing all these influx of players over to the Western Conference, and by the early 2000s, the Eastern Conference was extraordinarily weak. The best teams in the in the East in the early 2000s were the Nets and the Sixers. Maybe the Bucks for a little while. But all of the powerhouses were in the West, and you're seeing it again now, but it's getting worse. All right? This is why I'm not shitting on LeBron James, but this is why he's so dominant in the Eastern Conference. Everybody wants to play in the West. Case in point, and it's going to get worse. Kyle Lowry just opted out of his contract. Insiders say he's interested in joining, guess what, a Western Conference team. Paul George, most likely, if he opts out of his contract, he's going to join a Western Conference team. That's even more dilution of talent in the Eastern Conference. The guy doesn't have any competition whatsoever, enough as it is, LeBron James. It's going to get worse, and it's going to get kind of boring. Now, I'm going to tell you something else, too. I sometimes even wonder if it's strategic. I think that the NBA has a vested interest in LeBron James going to the finals every year because there's not as many stars as used to be in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? The league lost a lot of money in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. One of the lowest rated finals of all time was when the Detroit Pistons played the San Antonio Spurs in the finals. It was a very entertaining finals to watch if you're a basketball purist, but if you're a casual fan, you weren't interested in watching that. By the way, another player, Rasheed Wallace, started in the Eastern Conference, went to the Western Conference, played most of his prime in the Western Conference. So that's what we used to saw, and we're going to see it again. Marcus, you got anything to add to this?
No, I don't. It's just what should I do? Pretty much I want to say is basketball, maybe 2-3 years from now is gonna be boring. I mean, kids aren't gonna watch it as they used to. It's just sooner or later people just gonna switch from Eastern teams to Western Conference teams. Just not have as much fan base for Eastern Conference teams. Just all the fan bases from teams gonna switch over all the way to the Western Conference. You're gonna have more. I feel as though all the fans of basketball are going to be fans of the Western Conference. Not the East, but the West. Because all the stars in the next 2 or 3 years are going to be in the Western Conference. And as you progress on, LeBron James is going to be the only player in the East, superstar at that, the only superstar in the East that's going to make it to the finals every single year until he retires. Because there ain't going to be no competition. Once Paul George leaves, there's no competition. I mean, I'm just sorry to say it. Once he leaves, there's not going to be more competition for LeBron James in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and I think LeBron James is the type of player that's still going to be a very good and perhaps even great player, even into his